Welcome to the Pushing Horizon podcast. This is your host Ash. At some point in every ultra, your leg stops doing what you tell them to do. They ache, they burn, they scream, they cry, and that's when the real race begins. The one in your head. Because running 100 miles isn't about being fast. It's about being stubborn. It's about how you talk to yourself when no one is around. When it's dark, quiet, and every step feels pointless. That's where you find out who you actually are. Milton gets this better than most. Full-time UPS driver, single dad, still finds a way to put in 50 to 60 miles a week. He's done the grind, worked through the pain, hit the walls, and somehow still shows up. That's the difference, showing up when it's not convenient, not comfortable, not fun. You learn that progress isn't pretty. It's tired mornings, heavy legs, missed sleep. But there's a switch, a moment where your body gives up and your mind takes over. And that's where the growth happens. This episode is about that mindset. Not chasing medals or times, but chasing the version of yourself that refuses to quit. Because when your leg stops, your mind runs. And in that note, please let me introduce to our guest today. Here is Milton. Hey Milton, welcome back to the podcast. It's so nice to catch up to you again. And we were just talking shit about the running group right now, so that was fun. All right. So how are you? Everything okay?
Oh yeah, I'm doing good. Just doing a little bit of recovery from the big effort yesterday, and hopefully going to gear up later and get in some more miles.
On side note, guys, you should have told that he's gonna run ultra out more because you don't know Milton. So I'm disappointed in all the people who didn't put on ultra. I did not see it. I would have said you'll do 100%. I was like waiting for 100 kilometer, like I said. So
be hard to push out that on just a normal training, but hey, you never know.
Yeah, I think if there is one person who will do it, I think that is you. So I have faith in that.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. So in that topic, right? So you do so much longer distances and everything. Like we were talking about earlier, when you transitioned into the ultras, you were doing a lot of powerlifting, and then you started doing half marathon, Spartan race. But then when you heard this 100-mile race, did you ever think that, oh, it is not something that I can do? Or you were like, heck yeah, because knowing your mindset, you were always upping your challenge. You're like, bring it on, I got this.
It was definitely something that I thought would be further out of my reach for an extended period of time. Going from the half marathon to the 50K, because that was my first jump. I went from half marathon trail to 50K, and I was like, okay, well, that was more than double the distance, and I handled it fairly well. So I don't know, 100 miles, like it seemed such like a vast, like a big challenge. And I said, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there, but I'm going to start working towards it, and we'll kind of, take it day by day and just see what happens. And just like I got pressured to do the 50K, the first year that I was ultra running, I was like 8 or 9 months in, I did my first 100K because a buddy of mine was like, dude, you should come do this 100-miler with me. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I've only done a 50K. I was like, I don't know that jumping to 100 miles would be ideal. I said, I'll do the 100K though. And I ended up doing my first 100K, and I was like, okay. It was a little brutal. I had to grind through it, My mind went real deep. And it's like, but I did it. I said 100 milers, 30-something, 39 more, 38 more miles. I was like, okay, maybe next year if I just, keep the training up, keep doing everything right. And, I did a couple more 100Ks, signed up for my first 100 miler, and I was like, all right, like we signed up for it, we got to train for it. And even going into the race, like I was confident, that I could finish, less like the doubts still creep into your mind of like, this is a long, like you're going to be running all day and all night, like possibly over 24 hours. Like, anything can happen. So like trying to prepare for that mentally was like pretty hard, even though like I knew I had nailed my training. I had all my long runs, my fueling strategy. I was knocking everything down, but the little doubts still kind of creep in. It was like you can't do that. That's too far. Like yeah. So at first I didn't think it was impossible. I just thought it would take a whole lot longer to get there than what it actually did. Like I was thinking 100 miler might be like a 3 to 5 year goal instead of what, a little less than 2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And how did you feel? Can you remember when you did that first time? I saw your picture, right? The picture that you sent it to me, the 100-miler that you did. How did you felt when you first time you did the 100-mile after finishing the line, after running for day and night?
It was definitely a relief. So the trail that I was doing, it was 5 20-mile loops. So I kind of memorized like where certain markers were on the course, and coming in, I finally realized like, all right, I'm like a mile away from the finish. I was like, obviously there was no quitting, like that wasn't an option in my head, but I was like, you're just a mile, like you can crawl that. You can roll on the ground for a mile if you have to, but like you're right here. So finishing the line, it's like, it was a huge relief, but more so because I did the thing that, like I said, the doubts were telling me that I couldn't do. And like to get that, I guess that anxiousness of, can you do it, off my mind, off my back. Like, yeah, it was great to quit running finally, but the relief of actually achieving the thing that you set out to do, that was probably the greatest feeling. And then sitting down in the chair, getting some actual food that you're not going to have to run and try to digest at the same time, those were great. One thing I try to tell a lot of people though is, like, when you're running like a race this longer, for me anyways, the pain that sets in after you're done is always worse than during. So it's like part of me was like, I don't want to quit running because I know how bad I'm gonna hurt, but it's like I want to quit running because of how bad I hurt. So it's kind of like that, give and take right there.
I know it's so hard, right? When you do this kind of thing, like you said, the hurt during the running is different, but after it, just brutal swollen leg and all those kind of things. Were you looking forward to another 100-miler after this? And how did you look at? Because I'm sure your perception have changed, right? Because when you did it at the beginning, you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. But now, once you nailed it and everything went perfectly, so next time when you look at the 100-miler, you're like, I can do that now.
Yeah, so whenever I take on the bigger distances, generally the way that it goes is during the race, I'm like, F this. I'm never doing this long of a distance again. I hate this. That's typically when you're in that pain cave, things are starting to get real bad. You're at your lows and you're like, oh, I'm never doing this again. And then about a week or so after, you're like, you know what? That wasn't too bad. Like, trying to process and everything's loading into your brain of like what actually went down. And you're like, it wasn't that bad. About a week and a half, 2 weeks in, you're like, ultra sign up. Is there another 100 that looks fun? Like, so that's where I am with the bigger distances. And right after, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing another 100. I don't know if it's for me, but about 2 weeks after, I was kind of like, okay, like it wasn't so terrible that I wouldn't do it again. Let me kind of look and see if there's any of them that look interesting or something that's a little bit harder and see what I can get into. But I've signed up for another one, and that'll be later this year. I'll be doing my second 100 miler.
Yes. Like I said, if I have to pick one person to do this thing among all the friends I have, then I would like 100% pick you every time. It was like you and Angus, because you two would definitely get it on. It's like my like number two top choices to do this. Is like yes, they'll get it done.
That's right. Let's
I'm
go.
looking I'm looking forward to that. That will be fun. That will be fun.
I think so, and it'll be a little bit different. This one will be like more so in the mountains, so it'll be a good bit more vert and a little bit warmer of a race compared to the last 100 that I did. So I won't have to really worry about how many jackets do I need, or do I need to bring tights to keep me warm. It's just should be between 50 and 70 degrees.
Not
So
bad.
yeah, it should be nice and cool at night. And 70 degrees for me is not hot because I'm used to like 90s and 100s down here. So it should be a pretty well temperamented race for me.
70 is okay. I think for us, I don't know how much is 70 is. How much is 70 degree 70 to F2 Celsius? 21 degrees. Okay, it's not that bad.
Especially if there's no humidity. Like we have, the humidity down here is just so bad. It just makes that smothering, baking feel all around you. So yeah, 70 degrees, low humidity. I'll take that every day.
Yes, I would also take it. If there is no that stickiness, then that's yucky. I think it's harder to breathe as well.
Absolutely.
And going back to that race format, right? So there is this thing called toughness, because if you remember when you did the Spartan race, but then it doubled, right? You went to 50K, and then from 50K you went to 100K, and then 100K you obviously went to 100 miles. So in terms of the toughness and challenge that you did from the Spartan race to 100 mile, and has the perception changed, like based on the distances you have done, that oh god, this is getting tougher? The Spartan race was super easy, right? For you it's super easy. Half marathon Spartan race is like, okay, it's that for breakfast, let's do it, I can do it, right? So but each time you went like double then double. Has it, like, did your perception change about like how much endurance you need and how tough it is?
Yeah, I would say because they're all kind of tough in their own way. So like if you're doing, for instance, like a 10K Spartan race, like you should be revved out. Like your meters should be all the way up. You're go go go. You're having to pick stuff up. For like 100K 100 miler, you got that, not low and slow, but that low intensity, but hours and hours and hours, like that building up on you. You have to have like a big mentality going into that, because with the 10K, even though it's tough, it's going to be over in a short amount of time. When things get tough and you're halfway through, 100 mile or something, you still got 50 miles to go. That could be 12 hours, that could be 15 hours, or maybe even 20 hours, depending on who it is. So, like, the toughness, it's high for all of them, but it's high in a different way. I mean, same thing with even me now. It's like a 50K. If I'm running a fast and hard 50K, that's hard in a different way as opposed to like a mountainous 100K. Like they're all going to be tough, but in respects to their own way. And it's kind of funny sometimes, I hear people say like, "Oh, that was really really tough. Like I'm exhausted." And I'm like, I don't know if you know what exhaustion is, because I know who you are and I know what you just did. Like you just mowed the grass for 2 hours or something, and like, but there was a saying, and I forget who said it, but it's like the toughest thing or the hardest thing that someone's ever done or been through is the hardest thing they've ever been through. So it's like, to them, maybe mowing the grass is like their 100 miler. That's the hardest thing that they've ever did or that they'll ever do. But for someone else, that cap is like way up here. So the hardest thing someone's ever done is the hardest thing they've ever done. So like anyone's threshold on that can change, but you have to go past that point in order to have the adaptations and the change to like not only your body but your mindset as well. Because used to, like you said, the first half marathon trail race that I did, I was like, yo, this is hard. Like I was cramping out at the end, but like I thought, yeah, the toughness was going to get me through there at the end. I was like, I got to be tough. I got to be hard, like keep going. But it's like, there were so many other things that could have changed to where it wouldn't have been as tough if I would have known about them. And then that compared to grinding out at the end of 100 miler was like two completely different, hards or toughness going into those two.
So far, what has been the toughest thing you have ever done?
I would definitely say, as of right now, the 100 miler. Like that was really, really tough. But I feel like it's gonna get topped pretty easily by some of the other stuff that I end up doing. But yeah, I'd say right now the 100 miler was the toughest one.
Like we were talking about earlier, right? So when you were done with that 100 miler, you were so relieved. But then after a few weeks, you were looking for another 100 miler to like, let's see what is going on. What was the one thing that you learned from that 100 miler that you did about yourself?
How to dig deep, and like I'm not really a person who gives up, but some people don't know how overwhelming that feeling is until it's like closed in on you. Like I'm a person that I'm never gonna give up on something, or I feel that way. Like I have a real headstrong mindset. Like I'm gonna do the thing that I said I was gonna do, and I'm not gonna quit. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna give it my all. But between mile 80 and 100 of that race, it was like, man, like if I could just lay down and not have to finish this thing, it would be so great. So one of the things that I guess I would say I learned was I didn't know how like overwhelming that feeling would be, and I learned how to deal with that, like different little ways of just like make it to the next turn, breaking it down, counting the miles, whatever it is that you need to do. Had a guy tell me, it's actually Steve from the Run Challenge. He's a coach as well, and forward is progress. That was one of the mantras I had going into the race. Forward is progress. So during those deep, dark times, it was like, as long as I'm taking a step forward, like that's progress towards the end. So like learning how to deal with the quit, I guess is how I would word it, was something that I learned. Because I'd never been faced or gotten so close to like quitting a race like that than I did in that moment.
I think that is a very common phrase. Forward is the progress. I think I have heard so many people use that. I think in ultra it is too, because as long as you keep moving, then it's a progress, and closer you get to that whatever destination. And I think I have to keep that in mind, like you said earlier on, that each people has their own threshold. And I think being a marathoner, right? So mine is not so high as compared to yours too, because then I'm doing, as you know, I'm doing my first ultras, and like you were the first person who inspired me to do this, right? Otherwise, if I didn't spoke to you and you said growth happens in comfort, and that has always been in my head, and I always bring this up in most of the like podcasts we had, and it's just like that is so true. And what am I doing with my life? And it's just like I need to challenge myself. I need to do it, and it's just awesome that what like you said, when you went through that period and then you overcame all of that, and it's just like, okay, I can do that. I just doubted myself, but at the end, it's the that word again. At the end, it's just like how tough you were that you were able to get out of it and then just kick its butt.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, a lot of it's perspective too. Like, you think you're in a bad spot, but really you feel like crap. You're exhausted. You're in a huge caloric deficit. Like, you're not in a bad spot. You're right where you need to be, because that's the teaching moment in that moment. And it's like, you can't eat, and you can't eat all the calories that you're going to expend while you're running. I mean, you try to eat some, like
Yeah.
stick to your fueling plan, but you're not going to be able to replace them all. So like, you're supposed to feel some kind of way. So it's not that, you know, you're doing everything wrong or you're going to fail at the race. It's like, all right, I'm right where I need to be, and then you take that feeling, and then it grows that threshold of, your toughness or your mindset, your perception of like how things are. Because the next time when you're deep into a race and you start feeling, it's been described as the pain cave or hurt locker. Different people have different wording for it, but it becomes like a familiar feeling. Some people, they welcome it. Some people scared of it, but as it becomes more familiar, you learn how to deal with it, and you learn how to take it on and overcome it.
I remember the episode that just came out with Abby, and she said that like you what is described the pain cave, and when that comes, then she welcomes it. She's like, there you are, I see you, but you're gonna be there, and I'm gonna do my thing. So is
Mm.
that what you also use the same mantra? Like, well, now you're gonna welcome it, and then just say, that's it. I see you, but you're not gonna bother me.
Yeah, and it's funny because in the longer races is where I welcome it more. In the shorter, faster races, I'm not a big fan of it. Because I was like, man, these are short and you're going like real hard. And if you start getting into a bind with those, like chances are, because they're so short and quick, like for me, for instance, like a 25K and below, it's if you start getting in a bad spot, like you're gonna lose position, you're gonna lose a lot of time. If you start getting in a bad spot with a 100 miler, like you have a lot of time, a lot of distance where you can kind of take, that self-check moment. And if you need 5-10 minutes to stop at an aid station, make sure you eat a little bit more, take care of an issue or something, you can do that and still be just fine, like throughout the course of, the whole race. So in the longer races, yeah, sometimes when I feel it coming on, I'll kind of start smiling or laughing, and like, all right, well, we're here. So like, let's see what it does this time, and let's see how far deep into it we can go.
Fascinating. It's fascinating. It's just ultra runners love to do this. It's like, bring it on. Like you all know there is gonna be pain, right? There is gonna be suffering, but everybody is so looking forward to that feeling, and that to get to that moment where it is practically hurting, and they just want to see what is next. How far can I go? So it's an awesome thing. It's an awesome thing.
That, and it's a bit of a acceptance, like you can't change it unless you drop out of the race. And if dropping out of the race isn't an option for you, well, then you're going to have to deal with it the rest of the race. So the
Yeah.
sooner you accept things that you can't change, like the easier, less stressful, like your race is going to be. If it starts raining, you you can't control the weather. Like, okay,
Yeah.
it's raining, cool. What can I do moving forward to help myself? Did I have my rain jacket? Let me pull that out, put it on. Cool. Like, we did everything in preparation wise to handle this change, and cool, we accept and we move on. Like, if you're gonna constantly worry yourself over stuff or like, well, how bad is it gonna get? My feet are gonna get wet, or like I'm hurting right now. If you just let all these little things bother you, that can definitely start hitting you on the rails to a DNF.
You just said that you accept it, and I just thought of my ultra because that's probably what I need to do because I have never been in this situation where I'm going to be in so much pain, right? And I'm already, I know it's going to be tough because I've never done that distance before. So I'm already going to the thought that it's going to hurt, but I'm going to finish it. But like you said, I just need to take it what it is because there is nothing literally I can do. I can quit, but if I accept it, then I can see how far I can go.
There you go.
And when you just said it, that's where my head went was, okay, shit, this is what I need to remember from my ultra that's coming up. I need to accept it and I need to just keep moving forward is the progress.
Yeah. And, accepting the things that you can't change and preparing for the things that you can.
This will help. This will help. And also, you do work and then you are a parent as well. Has those things taught you or has those things brought you any lessons in your ultra running journey where you have been able to use? I know like you need a lot of patience and everything. So has there been anything that has helped you?
From the parenting perspective, I would say the biggest would be patience in some of these longer runs. You have to be patient. You can't push too hard too soon. Otherwise, you'll blow up. You just got to kind of take it as it comes and be patient along the way. And I would say that's the biggest thing that parenting has taught me, as well as, taking care of yourself. You make sure your kids are taken care of. So you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself so that you can go the distance of the race. Now, as for work, and my job is a very demanding job. And you start the day, because I'm a UPS driver, so we start the day with like 400 packages all throughout our truck. And if you start the day and you look in the back of your truck and you're like, dude, like there's so many boxes back here. I got X amount of stops. Like I don't know how, like, this is going to be a long day. If you start your races like that, yeah, you're going to have a long day of racing because you're looking at it and you're looking at the whole cookie instead of just, one bite at a time. So even before doing these big events, I kind of learned to take work, one stop at a time. And slowly the truck will get less and less packages throughout the day. When you look back there after a few hours, you're like, oh, like it don't look too bad back here. Like I ain't got that much left. And taking that into the ultra world, it's, you start the race, and I hear a lot of people say, run it 1 mile at a time. Be present in that mile, do everything right for that mile, and then you start on the next one. It's like, okay. So in my head, I look at my miles as stops that I would be doing throughout the day at work. And I'm able to kind of mix the two together. And then even when I'm at work, I do the same thing if I'm having a long day. So it's just 1 more mile. Let's just knock that one out, and we can worry about the next mile. So the patience and then being able to break my ultra up into little bits and pieces, really, really helpful. And they kind of both fold over onto each other.
You are a single parent, and then, like you said, your job is so hectic. And have you ever had to split workouts, like 6 miles here and then 14 miles after the work or something like that?
Every now and then I'll split miles, but it's not intentional. If I'm caught splitting more, like during the week, I should say, if I'm caught splitting miles, it's because One, I probably didn't get up early enough. I hate waking up early in the mornings. It's like I wasn't able to complete my whole run, and I'll get home and do a few more. Or or sometimes, like when I do get home, my son wants to go run. I've already did my train and run for the day. But if I'm running at his paces, that's like a real easy pace for me. Like not my easy pace, but easier than my easy pace. So it's like, it's not gonna hurt. It's almost just like a little bit more time on feet. So I might do that in the evenings with him if he's wanting to go run. Sometimes if on a weekend I have some big things going on, it's not often, but I might split into two and try to get some out in the morning. And then if it's really hot during the day, like it has been, during our summers down here, I'll wait till the evening and try to do the other half.
You just said, right? So some days you have like 300-400 things at back of your truck and you have to make a stop, and it's exhausting. It's summer. I know is there AC in the car, in the truck, UPS? Do they?
Is it what?
Is there air conditioner that gives you
hair? No air conditioner.
Yeah, right. So there is no air conditioner, and it's brutal. Like because if you have to make 300 stops and it's hot, it's 100 degrees, and you're exhausted, you're coming home. What do you do at that time? Do you say, okay, I'm just done today. I just can't do. I'm just gonna take a rest, and I'll make this mile tomorrow?
It kind of goes back to the threshold part of, what's hard or what's tough. I've been doing the UPS delivery driving for about 8 years. So 300-400 packages that's just a normal day for me. So it doesn't seem to affect me too much. Now, if I'm out until 8 or 9 o'clock and I get home, which doesn't happen too often, but every now and then it does. Hopefully I did my run that morning and I won't have to worry about it. But if I haven't, then I might switch my rest day from another day in the week to that day. And the run I was supposed to do then, I would just flip flop it over and do it on my rest day, or where it was my rest day. Every now and then, it depends on, how fatigue is, how my next few days are looking with running, work, and life. But every now and then, I might just, grit the teeth and still go get the run in anyways, especially if it's shorter, like a 5 to 7 mile run. I'll just go ahead and do it anyways. I'll wait till my son goes to sleep that night. And it's like, all right, like time to hop on the treadmill and just grind it away and get it done and then go to sleep, and we'll worry about tomorrow.
Is that just for that run challenge that we do, or you do that regardless of the run challenge?
I do that regardless of the run challenge. I try to make sure I get all my runs in, how they're prescribed to me. Like I said, sometimes I'll have to flip flop with my rest day throughout the week, just depending on, how life is going, work, and etc. But I hate missing runs and workouts. Like, it bothers my soul. So if I'm not able to like move it somewhere else or something, sometimes I'll just go ahead and get it out the way, and whatever drama or issues that causes for the next day, we'll figure them out the next day. So kind of regardless of the run challenge, I try to get them in.
Like we talked about this run challenge a few times, right? So what does that mean to you in terms of your day to day? Because I see a lot of talking and everything, and it's fun, right? So all friends is just having fun.
It's amazing, So being on Instagram, this and that, I don't really have like a run community that's local that I'm a big part of or anything. We have a few here, but they're little group runs and stuff I would never be able to make. So I've never even like tried to be too involved with them. But with having a group of people that, almost none of us live in the same cities. Most of us don't even live in the same states. It's like fun because we're all like, not competing, but kind of with one another. And everyone's so good-hearted in there and really inspire and motivate each other. So it's been a big help to me, like through my personal running journey. Because I've kind of felt not alone, but like I didn't belong to a group of people specifically that was doing the thing that I'm doing. So like whenever we started this, at first it was kind of like, yeah, okay, like cool. We got, I think it was like 7 people in here that was doing it. I was like, yeah, this is kind of fun. And then the next month we're inviting more people and it's, getting a little bit more commenting back and forth. And I was like, okay, like I'm really enjoying this, got some people in there that's running more miles than me. And I'm like, okay, like you're making me want to do more. So it's really like uh, a community feeling for me that's brought more happiness and competitiveness, friendly competitiveness to my running journey and gives me something to look forward to. Sometimes I would, look at Instagram or my Garmin app, just to kind of check up on things. But now I'm getting on there to see, oh, did this person do a long run today? How far did they go? Or I'm going on looking at stories, Jason or someone else, Angus will be posting something on there, like picking at the other person. And, if you're not involved with the run challenge, you might not know exactly what's being talked about through people's stories, especially if you're friends with us all. So it's been a really like fun, encouraging, and like community based, I guess you could say, challenge. That's it's helped me out a lot, and I'm super appreciative of it and everyone that's involved with it.
It's fun. I just right now I'm just enjoying getting my popcorns and watching everybody trash talk each other. It's just fun. Last last month I did my, I think, best in a long time, because I have not run a lot since last Berlin training block. So I did like 50 more kilometers, because just I was in a group and everybody, I was looking at Freddy and I was like, maybe I can catch him, you know. That's what I was like. Okay, I need to do more, and I did more. And Jacqueline is back this month, so I don't think I'll even finish top 10. So like I don't care now. I'm just gonna do what I can.
Yeah, they brought in some bigger runners, so we'll see how it goes.
I have a popcorn, man. I'm good. I think my goal is to get to top 10 by the end of it, but we'll see if I can get to it. Yeah, if I can get, then that will be bonus. But I don't see it. No chance, because I think there are three or more new people that came in, and I think that's going to be the top 10. So that's it.
We'll see. You never know. You never know.
I'm going to go do 35K this week, though. So maybe that will climb me up, because I have not run since last Wednesday. So we'll see. I'll
Absolutely.
try.
There's
I'll
a
try
couple
my best.
people. I know Angus has a race coming up, and Jason has a race coming up. So like they should be, or Jason should be starting his taper soon. I think Angus will start his in a couple weeks. So they're not going to be logging as many miles.
All right. I'll be like a hawk, keeping my eye and then seeing. I gotta check Angus. I know he's doing. I can see him doing lesser and lesser distance, because he has not run a lot. So okay, maybe this is my time to sign.
There you
One,
go.
only one chance. And now going back to this, we were talking about earlier, right? When you did your first 100 miler, you have to run through the whole day, and then you have to run through the whole night. How, prior to that, right? Because the longest you did was 100K. So how did you mentally prepare to go through all of that? Because it's so much different challenge where you have to run without sleeping, and it's hard. Like I'm hearing all the story of like all those Kokorona folks they are doing, and they're not sleeping, and you are not sleeping. So are there any tricks to keep you awake at night?
Um, I wouldn't say like practice any specific like tricks or anything. I did a lot of night running already. So like I was comfortable in the dark. I was confident in my headlamp, all that. So it was really just going to be staying awake and continue to move. I mean, I was taking in caffeine, but probably not to where I should have been. I've heard a lot of different talks about caffeine and even ketones, and those are going to be two things I'll be working in more for my next 100 compared to the last one.
I heard that ketone, it's like working with the fat, right? What
Uh,
is it?
yeah, so ketones, the way that I understand is whenever you go into ketosis, your body starts running off of ketones, and your brain loves those more than carbs. So it gives you a whole lot more mental clarity, mental focus. So especially deeper into ultras, whenever you start lagging, your brain's getting like foggy, this and that. Taking those will give you a whole lot more sharpness. You'll be able to essentially problem solve better than with like a foggy brain, and give you a whole lot more mental focus and clarity moving forward. So that mixed with some like caffeine, periodically throughout, should give you a whole lot more alertness.
Interesting. I don't know what I saw. That is fascinating because if you are doing a lot of races, then it would do wonders, right? Because like all those stories where they are hallucinating, that might help with that too. Will it help with that?
I don't know. So, like, I was just talking to this about this with another runner, and because he seen me taking some ketones yesterday, and so after I did the Run Love It 100K, I had talked to Jeff Browning because I seen him taking some after he finished his 100 miler. And I asked him, I was like, man, do you take those regularly? Like, how do you incorporate those in the running? And he said he takes them like every 4 hours during an event where he's going to be out there like all day. So for a 100 miler, and then post run or post workout, because they're so good for helping the body recover. It's like interesting. So that's kind of how I'll be mixing them in, is about every 4 hours, and then between that, hitting some caffeine is going to kind of be my strategy moving forward with some of the longer races.
That is so interesting. I think I have to ask this to few people that are coming next week. They do like bigger distances, so this might be a very good question to ask to them. Like, what do you do when you are in this situation, and do they take ketones? That would be interesting to ask.
It definitely would.
Yeah, it is. It is so. It's so fascinating, right? When you talk about ultra running and then ultra running journey, there's so many variables and so many things that you have to learn and you have to understand. It's just like fascinating because and each person is different. Then whatever you take, something you take and the same thing I take, it may work totally different for us. So it's just amazing. Like so, there is so much to learn about this.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say before you mentioned it. Is there's like it's a whole column of things to learn, and then you got to branch off and learn about yourself, because like you just said, something may work for me, for instance, but if you try to do the same thing, like the way your body is, it's not going to react the same. And then same for you. Your body might love something, for instance, and then I try to take the same thing and mine's just like, nah, we don't love it. So like branching off and learning each individual characteristic of yourself is very important.
Yes, I agree, and like it's I'm waiting to see what does this ketones do now, and learning more from you. I'll ping you more, and I'll say, hey bro, what happened? When are you taking it next? And try to see it and how it works. It's interesting. It's interesting. Thank you for letting me know. I read it somewhere, but I thought I'd read it wrong because I thought it was something to do with fat burning, and I was like, oh, but this is a totally different and fascinating thing.
Yeah, it's definitely something to look into. I'm gonna try it out and see how it is. It's like that was my first, I guess, longer effort. Like I did a little over 5 hours on that one. So that was the first time that I've been out there that long since maybe February. A lot of my longer runs, I've been doing them on roads and stuff. So I finish them a little bit quicker than on the trails and whatnot. So I'll be getting in some bigger trail runs and mixing in the ketones to kind of make sure I'm dialing that in for my strategy moving forward with the bigger races coming up.
Yeah, I'm so
I'll let you
looking for.
what I find
Yeah,
out.
well, yeah, I'm gonna ask some questions, and I'll let you know too, like what I find out about it, because I know there are some like experienced ultra runners coming who has been like doing this incredible races. So it's gonna be interesting to see what is their approach it, and I'm looking forward to what you do with it and how your progress is with it as well. And in this similar topic, when you are going in the race and then you're running 10 hours, 12 hours, and when you have to go more further, do you know like when is the right time for you to start pushing? Or and when you need to know, okay, I just gotta chill until this time and then I'm gonna hit it.
I feel like that's really dependent on the race. So I'll give a couple instances. So the second 100K that I did, it was 4 loops, and I came through after the second loop, and I asked, I was like, all right, so what place am I in? Because I didn't want to know till at least halfway through. They was like, well, you're in fourth. And I was like, okay, so I got 3 people I need to try to catch up to and pick off. So I said, cool. I'm just gonna kind of chill, like keep running my same pace, and if I see them, then trying to think of how the saying goes, pass them, gap them, and bury them. And I was like, that's going to be my strategy moving forward. So as I continued out, I finally caught up with a dude a few miles onto the loop. And I was like, all right. So I picked up my pace a little bit, caught up to him, and I just stayed right there behind him till I caught my breath back. And I was like, all right, we're going to pass him. We're going to pick up the pace, make him feel like we're just full of energy, and wait till I get out of sight. And then I'll settle back down to my cruising pace. And that should, running strategy, discourage him and think that, well, this dude just blew past me. I guess I'm out of the top 3 or whatever he wanted to let his mind think. And so I did that with him, finished the third loop, and I was in third. And I had came back in, so I knew I was in second. Hurry, refilled my pack. And then the same thing on the last loop. I caught up with the 2 guys in first and second. And one of them was stretching, and the other one was doing something beside him, like they was stopped. And I was like, all right, pass him, gap him, and bury him. And, I passed him up, and I picked up the pace some till they were out of sight, and I just chilled back down. Spoiler alert, one of them caught back up to me and beat me by 3 minutes. But it was super fun because we was kind of like yo-yoing back and forth towards the end of that race. Like I would pass him up, he would pass me up. Super fun. But I say that to say that was for that race. Now the Run Love It 100K that I did earlier this year, like with it being a whole lot more vert and mountainous, like I knew I wasn't going to be able to push too hard going up because that's not my strength. So I was waiting and waiting. Whenever we got to the last aid station, I recognized that we had did a lot of climbing coming to that point. So I was like, okay, so there's going to be a lot of downhill section here. Also, I'm fighting to break my PR. So, all right, it's like 3.5 miles. Like, I'm going to push. Like, and even if something happens, like, it's only 3.5 miles, Like, that's a risk I can take right there. And if I start cramping or I just get too tired, like, we're still not too far from the end. It's a risk I'm willing to take for the reward of like PRing my 100K distance at a really difficult race compared to where my PR came from. So like, we're gonna full send, and like I was going push him. So it's really dependent upon the race and how you're feeling or for me for that reason is when I'm gonna push. It could be different, even more different than those two on when to push, but it's more of a feeling, how you're feeling and what's at stake and how you want to race the race. If you're just doing a race just to complete it or like have fun with it, that person may not necessarily want to push at the end. But like if you're competing, or especially for a top spot, you might try to push out ahead at a certain point. If you're a strong climber and y'all get to a climb, I've heard of racers saying like, I knew that guy wasn't as good as climbing as me. So like I pushed harder on the climbs to leave him behind at those points. And then we might run the flats the same speed, but at least I knew I would get ahead of him on the climbs. So it's really just strategy, watching, if you can, some of the other runners, how they run on certain sections, and then playing it, to your strengths and to where you're at and what the risk reward is.
Makes sense. And also when you are, like you said, going through these hours with running, do you experiment with caffeine? Like, does it work on you? Does it give you a boost?
Normally for like all my training runs and stuff, I wouldn't get that much of a hit from the caffeine. But during the 100-miler, it was like someone turned on a light switch, kind of, I think I was closer, like around mile 70. Yeah, around mile 70. And I got to my drop bag, opened up, got one of my caffeine gels, took it. And it was like probably about 25 minutes later, I was just like, wow, okay, so this is how caffeine is supposed to affect you. Because like I was getting tired, it was nighttime was just had set in just a little bit ago, and so it kind of gave me that little ding, and it was good. So I plan on implementing more. I've heard some pretty insane caffeine strategies from people doing races, so I'm going to try to push the limits with that and kind of see how it affects me moving forward into some of the bigger races.
And when you're training for these bigger races, right, your training block is stressful because you have to build these huge mileages to get closer to that distance that you're running for. Have you ever suffered any burnt out? And like when you are going through it, and how do you recognize that, oh, okay, I need to have like a deload week, or I need to just take like few days off? And how do you recover from it?
I wouldn't say that I've had like big burnout. Like the way that my coach kind of gives my prescribed workouts, we throw in a deload week, pretty regularly, just to make sure that, we're not overtraining, not too much stress. And then you need the deload week for your body to make the adaptations that you've stressed it with the few weeks before. So that's been really helpful. And then what was it? So last weekend, I kind of just gave myself the 3 days off. And I was like, I've had a few bigger months, like mileage wise, longer runs, and with the heat coming on and everything, just like a self-care thing. So I had some friends come in and was spending the weekend with them as well. I didn't want to have to stress myself with when am I going to get my runs in, this or that. So I was like, I'll just take these 3 days off. We'll just use June as a lower volume month. Not stress myself, not burn myself out, trying to like do runs at midnight or something just to get them in. And it was nice, I didn't have to like try to overwork myself. I just accepted like, hey, I'm just going to take an easier month. A few days later, July starts. We're going to lock in for July. and we still got 8 solid weeks. Like me missing 3 days of running isn't going to derail my training block. It's not going to set me back, 3 months or something. It's just, hey, if my body's feeling it, I want to enjoy time with my friends and stuff. So, hey, it's all going to work out. Like, no need to stress over it. Just be happy and you get back to training in a few days and everything will be good.
Yes, I think it's important to give yourself some break. I like that idea where you just like you said, 3 days, 3 days of not running is not gonna do anything because you've been running for days and days and years and months. So it's gonna literally nothing is gonna do nothing to you. It's like people are like, and I'm gonna lose my fitness. Oh my god.
Yeah, 3 days. I mean, 5, even 5 days isn't gonna. You're not gonna get wrecked. Like nothing's terrible. If not, if anything, you'll probably come back and you do your next run. You do an easy run or something. You're like, wow, my legs feel really fresh. It's like, yeah, because you haven't been running on them for 5 days. During our normal training, we're running, or at least me, like 6 days a week, and I'm walking all day at work. So taking 3 days off, just resting, everything, the joints, the muscles, the body, the mind is like, that's great for me. Like 3 days is a long time to not be doing anything like that. So I loved it.
How long is your deload week like you were talking about? Is it after X days you take like 3 days off, or how do you plan it, or how does it work for you?
It all depends on how training is and my racing. So I like to put in like tune up races and stuff throughout the training block. So sometimes my deload week just happens to be like a taper week or a
Oh,
recovery week after the race. If got like a good little 6 weeks leading up to the race, taper, race hard, and then the deload week is like the same as my recovery week after the race, where I just take it super nice and easy and then get back to training. So just kind of depends on how my schedule's set up and how long between races I've had a week of deload.
that is pretty smart actually, you know? The taper, take it as taper as a that's a good strategy.
It kind of works.
Yeah, that's a really good way to do it. Huh. Okay. See, you learn everything. You know, when you talk to other, You always learn something. So there we go. There's a new thing to learn. Like, okay, this might actually work, but you just either after the race or before the race, it's just okay. This is my okay. Keeping in mind. Okay, that is for me. And like you were talking about earlier on, right? When you do the races, like what's the basis one where you were trying for the PR?
Oh, Brazos
Brazos,
Ben.
yes. So, like, you were going so hard for that race, right? And you wanted to nail it down and you wanted to get that PR. So, how do you process when it doesn't go as planned?
It's kind of like the acceptance part. Like I went in and just warming up that day, I felt like it was a whole lot hotter than the temperatures that I'd been training at. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to be possible because of how much hotter and humid it was. I said, but I still can't allow myself to not try for it. And it's like, I think it was like mile 10 or something. I realized like I'm not going to be able to hold this pace. So I just pulled back. So it was just an acceptance part. Like I could have let it derail me and say, well, I couldn't get the time I wanted. Like I'm just going to drop halfway through, after the first loop or something. But, you know, I enjoy running. I enjoy the race side of things. So I just kept to it. I didn't get the time that I wanted. I still PR'd my 50K time by a good bit.
Mhm.
So like it was all good in the end. I just didn't get my A goal. So it's always nice to have B goal, C goal out there so you still have something to chase.
Yes, I remember this conversation with James too, where you were talking about always plan this race like when three of us were together, and then we should have when you're going to a race, and then a goal might be to finish the race or something. Then or like for you it was the 4K, sub 4, sub 4 for the 50K, and then that's nice strategy to implement when you are going for something like that. And like we talked about earlier on, how do you decide when you are like, for instance, like let's say you were going for that 27 miler yesterday, right? So you went for it, and you were running for it, and if things go harder, do you always push through it, or you just say, okay, I need to chill and take a step back, and I next day, tomorrow, I can get it done? Or are you just gonna go with the mindset that I need to finish this?
It depends on like how it's getting harder. So like I went into this to the run yesterday, for instance, with no like set parameter on how many miles. It was just kind of a whatever you feel like running. So I was like, all right, well, we'll just see how it goes. And it's like it did get harder at times, but that's just because it was getting hotter, and I didn't have ice in my ice bandana based off of how I was having to do out and backs on the trail. Like it would melt before I could get all the way back, and that's when it would start getting hotter. So I knew it would get better once I got back to my cooler and I could throw more ice in the ice bandana. So like it would get harder during those sections, but I knew it wasn't going to continue to get harder. So that was kind of a mental thing to know and to process. Like, okay, now if like my knee was starting to bother me, for instance, and the more I ran, the more it would hurt, I'd be like, all right, we're going to cut it. Like, I'm not going to injure myself, So, like, that's a different, harder as opposed to, the ice situation. So, it's just kind of take it, you know, each run and see what your problems are. Are they fixable? Like, did you prepare to deal with these problems? Do you know what the problems actually are? And do you know how to fix them? Because sometimes things start happening, especially like earlier in my ultra running, and I wouldn't know what was going on. It's like, well, you learn later on, like, well, you need a lot of sodium because you're a heavy sweater and it's 110 degrees. Like, you need more sodium, dude. Like, you might have an electrolyte imbalance, or you might just be getting dehydrated and think that you're eating or drinking enough, but you actually aren't. Like, once you kind of learn these things, pick up on, like we was talking about, our bodies and what works for us and what doesn't, you can kind of problem solve these things and notice like when you're getting to certain points of like, oh, I need to do this.
That is that is so true. When I also remember that when I was doing that 25K, I think I I did 28K the day before, and then the I think like Friday and Monday I was doing it. I did 30K on the Monday, and at 20K I remember that I didn't have a lot of water, and I ran out of water, so I was like, I can't do it. I'm so thirsty. And I ran the whole 28K with just 600 milliliter of water. That's so stupid. And this is
Ooh,
like, yeah.
man.
No, actually, I carried the water. I had the Nathan's flask, and the silicone was busted, and I'm dumb and I put that plastic wrap on it, and I was like, this will fix it. Nope.
Oh man. You
Nope.
live and you
So
learn that, right?
yeah. And then but I went and I bought the new silicone caps now. So, but as soon as I went out, everything is in my face, and I was like, okay, this is not gonna go well. So, luckily, yeah, nothing happened. So, but that was the difference, was I didn't have water, so I couldn't finish it. And Monday I carried enough water. So, I think that is one my major issue while running is I don't drink enough.
Yeah.
It's I think even for 30K I only drank, I think 1 liter, 110, 1 liter and 100 milliliter. I think that's it. I think that is something I need to work on, and I don't know how.
Yeah, because right now I've been I've been pushing about 1,000 milliliters, so a whole liter of water or fluid per hour is,
Hour.
yeah. I mean, it's hot down here, so like the sweat is just unreal. So like I'll have like a 500 milliliter of water, and then a 500 milliliter of like a mixture, a carb and hydration mixture that I do. And I'll do both of those every hour and try to keep going like that.
No wonder I suck.
No, you don't suck. You're just learning, man. You're learning. Like I did too. Like that's what I was saying like earlier in my ultra running journey. Like I would just get so burnt, and like why? Like I feel like I'm cooked. Like my body is, and it's like I know I've ran further than this, but you know, as it gets hotter, we have to take in so much more. We're burning more calories. We're losing so much more fluids through our sweat, as well as sodium. And it's like if you're not trying to replenish that stuff properly, like you're gonna get in a bind. So that was some big learning curves, learning lessons that I had to take.
Dang, now I think I need to take the hydration bag of 2 liter at least to when I'm running this thing. If you're taking 1,000 per 1 hour, then it's not enough. Like even I sweat a lot too, so it's not enough. So there you go. I think that's been my major problem. So maybe not enough water. I don't drink water.
Have you ever tried to do one of the sweat tests or anything?
I'm like a hairy man. It's like a open when I'm running. I'm like a pig. Like everything is just it's dripping.
Yeah, I've thought about doing some of the sweat tests, like where you send in your sweat and they'll tell you how much sodium that you're losing in your sweat and stuff, just to kind of, you know, help you dial in your own nutrition for
Oh,
that at least. And there's also like a sweat test you can do at home where you can measure how much like sweat you lost over an hour, and it'll show you about how much you should be drinking to try to replenish that, like in terms of milliliters. I'd have to get the exact like measurements of how they do it and stuff and send it to you, but they're pretty interesting. I haven't did that either, but the 1,000 milliliters just seems to be working pretty good.
I think I need to do the same thing at least. Now I'm thinking about like all these runs I'm doing, and then I'm always I can run those distance, and when I'm towards the end, it's always harder and harder because I started taking this sodium capsule, the small salt stick, I think.
Yeah.
I take them every 1 hour now, so at least I take that. But then again, no water, so I think I need to do what you do and get my 2 liters bladder in, and then just try to run with that. That will at least help because it's 1 liter more than I carry. So
Yeah, that could be helpful.
yeah. Okay, 2 new things I learned today. So there we go. It's I never had this conversation with anyone, so this is so helpful. So okay, there we go. Thank you for
Great.
that.
Hey, no problem.
And okay, so now you you run with the kid, right? So we have talked about this before, like how you manage and juggle everything. And does your kid understand like how what you are doing when you are running and stuff? And how do you communicate with him and explain all the sacrifices that you have to do that involves the training and stuff like that? Or he's still too small?
Yeah, I don't think he quite understands like what goes into like running the actual distances. Now he'll see me hop on the treadmill or whatever, me and him will go run together, and he just thinks it's something fun. You know, he's like, "Oh, we get to go run." He's like, "All right, you know, let's go run to the park," and we'll run to the park and play or something and run back home. Or like he'll see me getting on the treadmill sometimes. He's like, "Oh, you getting on the treadmill?" And I was like, "Yep." He goes, "You run far?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna run far." And you know, so he looks at it as more of a fun. He'll ask me sometimes like why I run, you know, and I'll tell him, I was like, you know, it's better for our health, for, you know, physical health, mental health. So it's gonna keep me in better shape. Like, don't you want me to be able to get out in the yard and play with you? And you know, and not run out of breath? So, I tell him stuff like that. Hopefully it kind of sticks in his brain and be able to set a good example by doing it.
That makes so sense. Has he, when you're having this conversation, when you say that, oh, I do this much distances, has he ever been surprised by it? Like, you do that much?
No, like I said, I don't think he's quite grasped the concept of like how far 62 miles is, or
That's it.
100 miles or anything like that. I mean, he hears the big number. He's like, "Oh, that's a long way." But he's just, whenever I do him, he's more excited about me bringing him home, like the medals that you get and stuff. I'll always give them to him.
And like you are a single dad, right? And do you think that being a single dad has prepared you for all the highs and lows that comes with the ultra? Because being dad is hard. Single dad is hard.
Yeah, it's kind of prepared me in a way that was somewhat unexpected, in the way of like problem solving on the go, because like between work, running, his school, other responsibilities in life, this and that, like I'm trying to think of multiple things all at once, make sure they're getting taken care of. He's taken care of, I'm taken care of, hit this checklist, like do all these different things. So rolling that over into the ultra running, it's kind of, you do your body check, your self check as you're running. Like, okay, let's start at the head. Is my mental game good? Yes, okay. If it's hot, like right now, it's like, how much ice do I have in my ice bandana? Okay, how much fluids do I got? My arms feeling good. You go down to your hips. Is any of my hip flexors tight or anything like that? Quads, hamstrings are good. Like my legs, my calves. You can just do the mental checklist all the way down while you're also navigating the trail, making sure you're still drinking and eating at, your prescribed times if you have certain times that you do those. And, just doing all this constantly over and over again while also maintaining the course that you're supposed to be going, not getting lost if you're not on an unfamiliar trail or if you're not on a familiar trail. And, just running all these things to your brain and your mind the whole time you're doing other things that kind of ties over into one another. I'd say that's how it prepared me.
That is interesting way to look at things. And when you started this ultra, right? I don't know what your success was. It's like cross 100 miles or something like that. But as you have been, now you are an experienced trail runner, right? So you have done 100 mile, 100 Ks, 50 Ks for breakfast and all these things like that. So
I don't know about
what?
that.
So has the definition of success changed for you now? Like, or
The
what does the
definition.
success look? Yeah, definition of a success.
I don't know that my definition of it has changed any. It might just be, that's an interesting question. I guess something that I haven't given a lot of thought to. Maybe just my goals. Maybe because I feel like success is always going to be, you achieving the goals for yourself, or for me, anyways. Like, if I set goals, that's where my success is coming from. Not necessarily winning any of the races. I mean, if winning aligns with what my goals were, then yeah, absolutely. But two of the happiest times that I've ever been at the end of a race, like one of them I got like 13th or 14th place, and the other one I got fifth at. I've podiumed a lot of races, but those two I was the happiest at because I had chased like some hard goals that may or may not have been attainable at those specific events, and I was able to achieve them. So like the success, I wouldn't say changed too much. It's just the goal setting, because now it's these bigger goals, these bigger distances. And so yeah, I would say chasing the success with those I would say it changes along with the goal setting.
As we are talking about these longer distances, chasing longer distances and double the distances. So, where do you see yourself in the 5 years? Are you going to do more 100 milers, or do you want to go into 200 milers like Tahoe 200, Cocodona 250, or do you want to go to Western states like Badwater, harder mountains? Like where are you thinking of going?
Ooh, yeah, I'm definitely at some point, I don't know when, I'm gonna dip my toes into the 200-mile distance. Not sure yet when that'll be, but
Soon.
yeah, over the next at least 1 or 2 years, I'm gonna try to do a distance that's over 100 miles. Maybe not necessarily 200, but yeah, within the next 5 years, I definitely plan on doing a 200-mile distance. But really trying to like dial in my 100-mile distance and the 100K distance, like getting faster, better times, dialing in like nutrition wise, and really getting good at those two distances and seeing kind of where I can take them.
So, for instance, when I said you the names of Cochrane 250, Badwater 135, Western States, when you hear those names, right, does it excite you or scares you? Or does it have doubts on you? Like, if I can do that, like, what are your initial thoughts when I said those names for you?
The Western states, I know a lot of people like really that's like their dream. They really, really want to go. For me, if I get in one day, I get in. If I don't, I don't. Like I'm not too worried about it. Badwater seems hard
Mm-hmm.
with the heat part, but
Oh,
I feel like I have one of the better heat adaptation running areas. So I feel like I'd be able to handle the heat pretty well with it. It would just be that constant no shade because I don't think there's much coverage because they have you running down a lot of the roads over there for a majority of that course. So like that would be a little bit different, and it would be a dry heat as compared to like a wet heat over here.
yeah,
So it would be a little bit of change. Cocodona 250 is a race I do want to do. The other two are like, man, if I do them, I do them. If I don't, I don't. But Cocodona, I would say, is probably a race that I would want to do. And if I ever get the opportunity to, I'd be really looking forward to it. A little intimidated, obviously. It's 250 miles isn't just a walk in the park, but yeah, I would be super super happy to take on that challenge.
yeah. I could be your crew. Okay, if you need to crew some, if you need a crew, hop me in. I'm
I
I'm
would
gonna I'm
that
gonna come in. It would be fun. It would be fun to do that and look at that and it's a fascinating race. So
it
I
really
believe you
is.
can do it. I think you can do it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And with proper training, like it would be just that much better and enjoyable. I guess if that's a word you could use for that.
Oh yes, it's a enjoy. Oh, I talked with Tanya, right? So she did these 5 races in desert, 5 deserts. So you have 5 days to do 500, 250 kilometers of races. You have to carry all your stuff, everything, and you eat with whatever you pack, like all the dried food and everything, hydrated food, the military food, those kind of thing you eat. So she did. There were 5 stages. Oh, I forgot the name. Jordan, summit, like 5 deserts. And she was talking about that experience. So there are only 20 people who has ever done that thing. There is not a lot of people who has done all 5. So you have to do it at a certain time. Within a certain time, you have to do it like a few weeks off, and you have to go back at it and finish all the races. So 5 stages. And then she did the Cocodona, and then she said that it was like a Michelin star because you get food on a buffet You can go
Yeah,
and pick foods.
I've heard a lot of good things about like the food selections there.
Yeah, and she said that felt like a luxury because when she did that 250 stays races, 5 races, she had to carry everything on her back, and so like she was like, I cannot. And when she did the Cocodona, she was like, oh my god, this feels like a luxury. And I was like, what do you mean luxury? Like you have to run for 5 days, 4 days without sleeping 2 hours. And she was like, yeah, that is a luxury. I was like, God. It,
Which that's what at the Run Love It they had an aid station where they was making like a bunch of waffles and stuff, and I was like, that was probably the best waffles I ever had in my life. And they were probably just the little store bought ones that they heated up or cooked or whatever, but they was some of the best tasting waffles I ever had.
what is it with the races and then the aid station where the food are so good? Is it on all the aid station that you have experienced the same thing where the foods are good?
Yeah, some of them have some pretty good food. Some of them are just like they kind of mix it up. Some of them have like hot foods, and some of them will just have like like the little chips, candy, pretzels, and stuff. But some of them will have like where they're actually cooking stuff, and it's warm when you get there. They'll have like soup or like, some broth or bread, like the pancakes, waffles, and stuff. So it just depends on where the race is, what they're offering. And some of them will kind of mix up the hot ones along the race and stuff. But
In
yeah,
that note, right?
some of them have some super good foods.
Do,
Or either
do you
you're
like
just exhausted and tired of eating gels that the food tastes so good.
have you ever eaten noodles at a race when you are
Noodles?
yeah?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen them available. I see a lot of people eating them, like in videos and stuff. But I think a lot of times when I see them, I think it's their crew that's cooking them for
Yeah.
them. I've never been in a race that served them.
Angus said it tastes delicious at morning when you're doing the 100 milers. So it's like the
I
best
can.
thing ever. Yeah. So in that note, so if you're doing ultra tomorrow, right? And they said no gels, no drinks, mixes, whatever. You just have to eat real food. So what would be your choice of real food for that 100 mile race?
Hmm. Well, I do know I do well with Oreos and potatoes, tater tots, which is also a potato essentially. Those would be some of the key ones. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, love those. I would do grapes and bananas, and probably some peanut butter cookies or something. But yeah, those would be some of the top ones. Pretzels too, and waffles. Apparently, I love waffles and beef broth.
Oh.
I'm kind of crazy. I'm weird. If I use beef broth to cook something with, I'll just stick whatever's left over in the fridge and I'll just drink it just whenever. If I come in after work, I'll get the beef broth out of the fridge and just drink it. It's super high in sodium and it's just got that savory taste to it, and I love it. So, yeah, for the 100 miler, I would actually heat up beef broth and drink it in between loops. Super good. But yeah, those would be some of the things that I would definitely lean on if there was no gels.
Have you ever had any food cravings when you did the 100 miler food? Like I wish, like you were like you wish you had that food.
Not at the 100 miler. Well, okay, let me let me course correct. At the 100 miler, yes, I was craving all kinds of just any real food actually. Like they had some grilled cheeses, I think, that was again probably one of the best grilled cheeses I ever had in my life. But I think it was just because I was craving real food instead of like gel and potato, which I've been eating for like 20 hours. Um, so anything was sounding really good. Now, I did a 69 miler last year and they had quesadillas, but I was really wanting steak. Like I was craving steak really, really bad. And ended up getting some pizza at that aid station too, which was phenomenal. I would actually want to bring pizza to more ultras in the future. But yeah, that would be the only real craving I guess I could say I had was steak.
Okay. Like earlier on, when I asked you the questions, where do you see yourself in 5 years of running? As you stand here right now, Milton, when you look at into the future races, right? Is there anything that scares you?
I would say that like some of the bigger mountain courses would. Um, and there's a lot of them, obviously, but yeah, anything probably 20,000 feet or more for a vert in a race, that seems pretty daunting to me, especially when like you look at some of the people who's winning them, and it's a 100-mile course, but it's still taking them like upward, like over 24 hours for most people. Did you look at, 100-mile races, there's a lot of people who go sub 20, sub 20 hours. But if some of the fastest people are barely getting under 24, you're like, that's got to be a hard race. Even for some of the people who's winning it, they're still barely getting under 24 hours. So, I mean, that would excite me, but at the same time, like, they're pretty, for me right now, where I stand today, kind of a little scare tactic there.
So, in that note, if you could pick any race that you can do in that sort of range, which would the one you want to do? Let's say, if you're right now you're prepared for do that kind of races, right? So, what would be the race that would pick to race tomorrow?
If I was properly trained for it, I would. And I guess we mentioned it earlier. I would probably have to say Cocodona because I think it has like a little under 30,000 feet of gain. But I mean, it's 250-mile race. But that would probably be the one that if they're just like, here's a free ticket for, you're trained for it, you're in. That's the one I'm probably going to choose.
Interesting. I'll be crewing for you that. I know it. And looking so far at the journey from the guy who was these big muscles, power lift, to the person who did the Spartan race, to the person who did the 50Ks, 100Ks, 100 milers, all PRs, left, right, and center. What has been the proudest moment so far in the journey?
Uh, that's a very interesting question. And it's hard to, I'm going to try to say a couple different things. So, like, proudest that I've been from racing would be where being able to finish like some of these longer races and finish them hard, like finish them well. And I guess the two races I talked about earlier, where the guy who beat me by 3 minutes at the end of 100K, like me and him going back and forth, and then the other 100K where I was able to finish really strong the last 3.5 miles, like finishing those races where I was running really hard. Those would probably be the proudest like running moments that I've had. But overall, like I guess that would be the physical side. But like if we look at it from a mental side, like I'm super proud of the way that I'm able to like handle the losses. And I mean, you can call second place a win. Some people do. I think it's still a loss. I didn't win. There's someone who beat me. But like I was super proud of that dude. And for me to be proud of other people and not be the person that's like angry or upset or like trying to beat myself up, like after I finished the race, the guy who beat me by 3 minutes, for instance, went over to him, shook his hand. I think we even like, gave each other a hug. I was like, dude, that was so much fun. Like, you was racing really hard. Like, that was so much, probably the funnest I've had at the end of a race ever. And me and him just kind of chit-chatted. And I'm proud that I can be in that mental state of being proud of other people instead of like the guy that's angry or upset or trying to beat himself up because he didn't win. Like lift up others along with yourself. Like I was happy of how I finished. Like I'm happy that he finished. He helped bring me up. Due to his success, he made my level of success higher as well because we were both, fighting back and forth. So being able to be proud of other people and express that to them is a big thing that I'm proud of where I've come to during and through ultra running, because it hasn't always like really been that way for me. Like throughout high school and stuff, it was more of like this competitive nature in a way that you need to win, or if not, like something's the problem, this or that. It's like people are just better than you sometimes, and like how's the saying go? A rising tide lifts all boats. Bring up other people with you, and it makes you happier having that outlook as opposed to what I was talking about, being upset because you didn't win. It's like, well, that guy won. Like, be happy for him. You still were out there competing. Some people can't run. Some people can't, don't have the ability to travel to some of these races and compete in them. And you did. So be happy of where you are and lift up others with you.
And I ask this question to a lot of people now. So yeah, we're towards the end. So I have asked so many people, why do you run?
I run for a few different reasons. One is it makes me happy. I like to have something that I build upon, or that I can progress in like my physicalness or physicality, whatever you want to put it. So I've always been in sports, basketball, baseball, track, cross country in high school. And I shifted into weightlifting, then powerlifting. I've always been involved in something, so it keeps my body moving. I love that. It gives me a lot of mental health benefits. Like if I'm not running, I can kind of feel that area start to decline a little bit. Excuse me. I would say those are probably two of the biggest, along with, it just helps keep me healthy. I like to live a healthy lifestyle. I want to, like I mentioned earlier, I want to be able to get outside and play and run around and do whatever it is, not be limited when it comes to enjoying time with my son. I've seen that like in a lot of people's lives as their kids get older, like they can't even, but when I say older, like teenage years and like early 20s, their kids want to go do stuff, like their parents can't go do stuff with them because they're so far declined physically. And it's like, I don't want that in my life. So like that's a motivation to stay in the game and to keep, even if it's not competitive running, just running to stay fit. Those would be the biggest ones.
Beautiful. All right. So now there is this rapid fire. So I'll just ask a bunch of random questions. So whatever comes to your mind first. Your favorite distance, 50K, 100K, or 100 miles?
100K.
Trail or road? Where?
Trail.
Okay, that's easy question.
Rapid fire.
Base mid race snack you have tried.
Best race snack. Tater tot.
Worst bonk moment you have had.
Possum's Revenge 69 miler.
One word to describe your first 100 miler.
Wild.
Early morning or late night runs.
Gosh. Early, late night for rapid fire.
Race you are dying to do someday. Cocodona.
Cocodona 250. But actually, Georgia Death Race as well, because I'm already signed up for that one, and I've been looking forward to doing that one longer.
You already signed up for that.
Yep.
Is that the one?
It's going to be March of 2026.
Dang. All right, another race to look at now. So, Pre-run, hype song, or artist?
I I don't run with to music. Pre-run though. Most of the time, I don't listen to music pre-run either. Um, but if I did, like if I'm traveling somewhere, anything upbeat. So like I'll do like hip hop or like 70s hair band music, like rock and roll.
Cool choice. Shoes you trust most for ultras?
Oh, Hoka Challengers, which they just dropped the 8, and I want to get the 8s to try them out. But as of right now, the Hoka Challenger 7.
One thing you wish more people understood about ultra running?
It's not as hard as you think it is.
All right, the final question. I haven't asked you this before, so I would like you to please finish the sentence. Running has changed my life because.
It's opened my eyes to my own self and who I am, and helped me like experience more of who I am, as well as develop it in a positive manner to where I'm able to interact with others in a better way, as well as view myself in a more healthy manner.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think talking to you is always fun, and I always get a lot of insights on it. And today I got 2 tips, and like listening to you and watching you, and then watching the chit chatting on the challenges is always fun. So thank you so much for the fun. I think you are the few person that I look up to, and it's always amazing how you do it, and it's just like I want to run like you one day. So I'm always looking up to your run. So it's fun chatting with you today.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on again.
All right. Then I wish you a good afternoon, and I'll talk to you later next time.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Hey everyone. Thank you for making it to the end of the podcast. I hope you really enjoy this conversation. I'll see you again next time with another guest. Until then, happy running.